They told the public it was suicide. They told the family it was grief. But behind the locked doors of Echowood Behavioral Facility, they were hiding something far more terrifying. A discarded scarf soaked in blood. A sealed wing that didn't exist on any blueprint. And a girl whispering about a patient who was erased. This isn't just a cover-up. It's a warning. You're watching Killer Truth, where the facts don't flinch, and the lies fall apart. Bell, if this story grips you, hit that like button, subscribe for more chilling cases, and share this video with someone who thinks they know what justice looks like. Drop a comment below. Was it an experiment gone wrong, or something planned from the start? The call came in just after sunrise. A jogger spotted a woman's body slumped inside a silver Honda Civic parked at the edge of Hillside Ridge, a notorious overlook with a 300-foot drop. The windows were fogged from the inside. The engine was off. The woman was cold. There was a note on the dashboard, sealed in a plastic sleeve. It read, "I'm sorry. Please don't look for answers." The woman was identified as Vanessa Proctor, 28 years old. To the Green Lake Police Department, it looked like an open-and-shut case of suicide. But by the end of the week, one detective would refuse to close the file. And when the autopsy came back, the entire narrative unraveled. Vanessa Proctor wasn't the kind of person who faded into the background. She had a laugh that carried across rooms, a razor-sharp wit, and a brutal honesty that either won people over or drove them away. A recent graduate of UC Berkeley's forensic psychology program, Vanessa had just accepted a position at Echowood Behavioral Health, a local treatment center known for controversial experimental therapies. She had moved back to Green Lake to be closer to her younger sister, Rachel, who described her as my rock, my safe place. But according to coworkers, something had changed in the last 3 weeks. Vanessa had become withdrawn, distracted, and most notably terrified. She reportedly told a coworker, "If anything happens to me, don't believe it was an accident." They thought she was joking. Vanessa left work at exactly 6:01 p.m., captured by the security camera at the facility's south exit. She drove home, made a phone call to her sister at 7:13 p.m. The call lasted 47 seconds. Rachel says Vanessa sounded panicked, whispering, "I think someone's been in my apartment. The drawer was open, and my files are gone." That was the last time anyone heard from her. At 10:42 p.m., a neighbor's Ring camera picked up the faint sound of tires screeching. Vanessa's Civic was seen pulling out of the complex's lot at high speed. She never returned. By morning, the car was found overlooking the cliff. Inside, a half-empty bottle of wine, 3 crushed sleeping pills, and that single note. Rachel was inconsolable, but something didn't sit right with her. Vanessa was meticulous. She didn't drink. She hated driving at night. And the handwriting on the note, Rachel swore it wasn't hers. The police were hesitant. There was no sign of forced entry in her apartment. Her car doors were locked from the inside. The death was ruled non-suspicious pending toxicology. But Detective Kara Lynn, newly transferred from Oakland PD, reviewed the case file and felt her gut twist. "If this is a suicide," she later said, "it's the neatest one I've ever seen. Too neat." Vanessa's blood toxicology confirmed she had ingested zolpidem, a sleep aid, in moderate quantities. Not fatal, but that wasn't the headline. The real finding? Bruising around the wrists and a faint ligature mark along her throat. The coroner flagged it immediately. "The evidence is inconsistent with self-inflicted harm." The case was reopened. Quietly, Detective Lynn started pulling threads. She visited Echowood Behavioral Health and quickly found resistance. A company lawyer intercepted her on her second visit. Staff were told not to speak to unauthorized personnel. That only deepened her suspicion. Vanessa's apartment was re-examined. This time, the forensics team found something overlooked. Behind a loose baseboard in her bedroom, wrapped in a plastic grocery bag, a flash drive labeled Echo contained encrypted documents and a video file. Timestamp: March 17, 2022, 11:49 p.m. The footage was grainy. Vanessa speaking directly into the camera. her face pale, voice shaking. "If you're watching this, then I didn't make it. And that means they got to me." She names 3 people, 2 doctors, 1 patient, and she ends the video by whispering, "There's a program. It's not therapy. It's control. And someone disappeared last month. One of the patients. They're covering it up. They told me I'd be next." Detective Lynn tracks down the name of the missing patient Vanessa mentioned. Corey Malcolm, 36, a military vet diagnosed with PTSD. He had been under experimental neurostimulation therapy at Echowood. His case file says he was transferred to an off-site facility in February. But the address listed? A condemned building with no power and a padlocked entrance. Corey Malcolm was never transferred. He vanished. Just like Vanessa said, a subpoena grants police access to Echowood's restricted surveillance archive. And what they find is jaw-dropping. March 17th, 9:42 p.m., Vanessa is seen entering the restricted wing of the center. 10:05 p.m., she exits, quickly, clutching something under her coat. 10:07 p.m., 2 men follow. Neither works at Echowood. They trail her into the parking lot. The feed cuts out. Exactly 12 seconds later, Detective Lynn returns to the facility one last time with a search warrant. In a locked janitor's closet, she finds a discarded item wrapped in towels beneath a false floorboard. Vanessa's scarf is torn, and it's soaked in blood. The Green Lake PD now classifies Vanessa Proctor's death as a probable homicide. The FBI has opened an investigation into Echowood's experimental program and its missing patient list, which is longer than expected, but the 2 men seen following Vanessa. They were never identified. No names, no fingerprints, no digital trace. And the final 45 seconds of Vanessa's video diary? Corrupted. Detective Lynn believes someone is still scrubbing evidence. Someone watching. And Rachel? She started receiving emails from a hidden address. No subject, no message, just one attachment, a photo of Vanessa's car, parked, before the police found it. Detective Kara Lynn stands in Vanessa Proctor's empty apartment. Morning light cuts through the blinds. The air is stale, untouched since the last search. She turns her attention to the laptop on the desk. Powered off. Except, it wasn't here last time. There's no fingerprint match on file. But when Lynn lifts the screen, it boots directly into an encrypted partition. Someone had been here, recently. The only thing visible on the desktop, a single folder named Protocol D, the password, Rachel's birthday. After weeks of digital forensics, the corrupted ending of Vanessa's final video is partially restored. Vanessa is visibly shaking now. She glances over her shoulder repeatedly, whispering, "They said if we talk, they'll make us disappear like Corey. But I saw what they did to him. He didn't lose his mind. They made him lose it." She holds up a document, blurry but legible enough. Protocol D is not therapy. It's conditioning. They erased his memory. They tried to erase mine. The screen flickers. Vanessa's final words are nearly inaudible. "They're not doctors. They're cleaners." Then Detective Lynn digs deeper into Corey Malcolm, the missing veteran. No activity on his bank account. No phone records. No traffic or license scans. But one thing catches Lynn's eye. A hospital badge swipe recorded 12 days after Corey supposedly vanished. Location: Lakeside Research Annex, a building owned by Echowood, but unlisted on their official site. It's registered not as a treatment center, but as a behavioral rehabilitation testing lab. There's no public access, no signage, and no listed staff. Lynn installs a motion-triggered trail cam across the road from the Lakeside building. After 3 nights of silence, she finally gets footage. 3:21 a.m. A van arrives. Men in dark uniforms unload what appears to be a wheelchair. The figure is slumped in it, head down. Tall, muscular build. Unresponsive. It matches Corey Malcolm's profile. But by the time authorities arrive, the building is abandoned. The inside is stripped. No files. No equipment. Only one thing remains on the floor of the basement. A restraint strap bolted into the concrete. Still stained. Back at Echowood, Rachel Proctor receives a plain manila envelope in her mailbox. No return address. No note. Inside is a photo. A door. Steel. No knob. She recognizes the hallway. It's in Echowood's East Wing, which is supposedly under renovation. Rachel brings it to Detective Lynn. A new warrant is signed that afternoon. They pry open the sealed hallway behind a false wall. At the end, the door from the photo. It leads to a soundproofed room. Inside, a single cot bolted to the floor, two-way mirrors, the fluorescent light, a microphone hanging from the ceiling, and graffiti carved into the wall with a fork. I remember who I am. I remember what you did. Initials beneath it. CM. An anonymous tip leads authorities to a psychiatric facility in Nevada. They find Corey Malcolm alive, but not the man he once was. He's heavily medicated, restrained, barely speaks. He repeats the same phrase over and over. Vanessa tried to help. She opened the door. They took her because she opened the door. When Lynn shows him Vanessa's photo, Corey begins screaming uncontrollably. They sedate him within minutes, but his fingerprint confirms it. Corey Malcolm had been institutionalized under a false name by someone claiming to be his legal guardian. That guardian? Dr. Elijah Brandt, head of Echowood's Experimental Therapy Division. The FBI raids Dr. Brandt's home and private practice. Among hundreds of patient records, they find a locked drawer containing dozens of burner phones, 2 passports under false names, photographs of patients restrained, and a white folder labeled Deprogram Failures. Inside is Vanessa Proctor's full psych profile, with a single note in red ink. Too smart, too curious, too late. The last piece comes from a hidden recorder recovered from Vanessa's car engine block. It had been tucked behind the firewall, likely in a panic. Detective Lynn plays it. It's distorted, but clear enough to make out. Man's voice. Get the drive. Now, she wasn't supposed to have it. Vanessa breathing hard. I sent it to Rachel. It's over. Second man. No, it's just starting. Sound of a struggle. Then silence. Then a car door slamming. Then Vanessa's voice, softly. Please remember me, right? I tried to stop them. Echowood Behavioral Health is permanently shut down. Dr. Elijah Brandt is awaiting trial for conspiracy, unlawful imprisonment, medical fraud, and suspected homicide. But several key suspects vanished during the investigation. The cleaners Vanessa referred to, never identified. Their methods, still unclear. Rachel now speaks publicly about Vanessa's case. She's turned her sister's bedroom into a memory wall, and every week, without fail, she receives a single email, still from a blocked sender, still no message, just a number, a patient number, counting upward. The last one she received, patient number 074. Rachel Proctor sits before a congressional subcommittee on unethical psychological experimentation. Cameras flash, microphones cluster. She clears her throat and reads from her sister Vanessa's journal. If they erase us, they win. If we speak, even if we disappear, they lose. I'd rather vanish than stay silent. Behind Rachel, on a monitor, photos of 74 confirmed former patients from Echowood's secret program. Most remain unaccounted for. Some are hospitalized. A few have begun to speak. That's how the next chapter began, with voices that shouldn't have remembered. Starting to. Detective Kara Lynn travels to a private rehab clinic under federal protection. One patient, admitted under alias Jane Doe 11, requested to speak. She had seen Vanessa's face on the news. Her real name is Melinda Cross, 41, a former schoolteacher from Green Lake. She vanished in 2019, declared dead. Now, she remembers everything. Melinda's account matches the others. She was admitted to Echowood after suffering a breakdown. But what began as trauma therapy soon became invasive. They called it memory modulation, said it would ease my pain. Instead, they started removing it. She speaks of exposure chambers, forced audio loops, isolation. One session lasted 72 hours with no external stimuli except a looping tape. You are not who you were. You are not who you were. You are not who you were. She broke on day 4, but unlike the others, she remembers Vanessa. She was new. She caught them in the red zone where they kept the core subjects. She told me to hide the file under the bed frame. Lynn returns to the now-abandoned rehab unit in Green Lake where Melinda was first admitted. Under the rusted bed frame of room 12A, sealed in a cracked medical glove, she finds a thumb drive, labeled Banyan. Inside, internal correspondence between Dr. Elijah Brandt and an unnamed benefactor, funding transfers from a foreign biotech firm, and an internal memo stating, subjects exceeding baseline IQ must be removed from long-term trials within 30 days to avoid whistle risk. C.V. Proctor. Attached is Vanessa's intake form. The word terminated is stamped across the top. As documents leak, the project's scope is revealed. Project Banyan was designed to create psychological blanks. Subjects with erased trauma, erased memories, even erased identities. The goal? Not healing. Many of the patients were not volunteers. Some were court-ordered therapy cases. Some were misdiagnosed. And some were simply forgotten. The deeper Lynn digs, the more disturbing it becomes. One funding source? A private security contractor with federal ties. Another? A pharmaceutical startup specializing in memory drugs, run by a former Echowood board member. And then, there's patient number 074, the last number Rachel received. The number leads to a name, Julian Miles, 27, former medical student, declared missing in 2021 after an apparent breakdown. But according to a private message Rachel receives, through a deep web forum connected to Vanessa's encrypted drive, Julian is alive, and he's ready to talk. He contacts Lynn through a burner phone. They meet in a secure motel room under federal surveillance. Julian has one demand. Let me tell the story, all of it. But you need to hear what they really did to Vanessa. Julian was housed in the same corridor Vanessa had visited, the red zone. She found us. She spoke to me through the vent. She promised to get us out. She told me she had the names, the files, the proof. I told her not to trust anyone, not even her supervisor. Julian says Vanessa was tracked from the moment she accessed the files. She thought she was being paranoid, but they were listening the whole time. Her office was bugged. Her phone, her car. They used her as a test case, how to neutralize a subject without causing suspicion. Julian pauses. He pulls out something wrapped in cloth. A cracked name tag. Proctor, Vanessa, cognitive specialist. Burned at the edges. Rachel files a motion for a second independent autopsy. With pressure from the public and advocacy groups, it's granted. The results show 2 new details missed in the original. 1. A puncture wound behind the left earlobe consistent with injection. 2. Trace amounts of scopolamine, a powerful dissociative drug known to cause memory loss and confusion, sometimes dubbed the compliance drug. Vanessa wasn't just followed. She was chemically manipulated. Her final night? Likely a forced overdose staged as suicide. The case file now labels Vanessa Proctor's cause of death as homicide by unknown individuals linked to an experimental behavioral program. Dr. Elijah Brandt awaits federal trial. But nearly half of the individuals named in the Project Banyan files have disappeared before they could be subpoenaed. To this day, no one knows who the benefactor is. And the deep web email chain sending Rachel patient numbers? Still active. The last message? She was the first to fight. She won't be the last. Attached was a single photograph. Vanessa, seated on the floor, looking directly into a hidden camera. Her eyes red, her lips parted, as if mid-sentence, captioned with 3 words. They're still watching.